Here's a real website that's live on the internet right now. It has a clean layout, it has modern typography, smooth animations, and it works perfectly on desktop and mobile, and 5 minutes ago, it did not exist. So this entire site started from a blank canvas and was built using AI without templates, without code, and without any pre-built layouts. So in the next 30 minutes, you and I were gonna build a website just like this using Framer. It's a design-first, no-code website builder with AI built directly into it. So instead of forcing you into rigid templates, Framer will help you generate and shape real layouts using plain language, which is why it's used by teams at companies like Perplexity, Miro, and Visual Electric. It's built for real, professional websites, not just quick experiments. We'll start from zero and go all the way up to a fully published site that you can share with the whole world. And along the way, I'm going to show you real examples built with Framer AI. I'm going to break down the features that matter, and I'm going to walk you through the exact process, step by step, so you can follow along, even if you've never built a website before. Framer also happens to be in a great place right now. Recent updates in 2026 added things like free custom domains on yearly plans or improved AI generation and a growing component marketplace, which makes it easier than ever to go from idea to a live website in one place. So if you've ever wanted to build a website that actually looks professional without learning to code or fight clunky tools, well, this is the tutorial for you. So let's jump in. First things first, I added a special link to Framer down in the description below, so make sure to go ahead and check it out and follow along too. And before we start building, let's quickly get the boring but necessary stuff out of the way. We'll look at Framer's plans, get signed up, and make sure that you're not paying for anything that you don't need. And this part is quick, and we'll get straight into building the site soon after. So let's talk about Framer's plans and how signing up works, because this is usually the first thing people wonder about. Framer offers a solid free plan that's perfect for learning the tool and building a real draft of your website. You get up to 3 pages, a Framer subdomain, and all of the core features, which is more than enough to follow along with this tutorial. And when you're ready to take your site live, the paid plans unlock custom domains, unlimited pages, and more advanced features. So if you choose a yearly plan, Framer also includes a free custom domain, which was added in early 2026 and can save you some extra money. So the simplest approach here right now is to just start on the free plan, build everything out, and then only upgrade once your site is actually ready to go live. And when you log into Framer, you'll land here on the canvas, which is where almost all of your work happens. This is your main design space. On the left side, you'll find your pages, layers, and components. And on the right side, you'll see all the properties and styling options for whatever you have selected. Along the top here, there's a toolbar with tools, preview options, and the publish button. You can also switch between desktop, tablet, and mobile views at any time, which makes it easy to see how your site looks on different screen sizes as you're building it out. Framer feels different from traditional website builders because it is design first. Instead of pushing you into rigid templates, it gives you a lot of visual freedom. There is a small learning curve here at the beginning, but the trade-off is that you get much more control and it starts to feel less like a website builder and more like a professional design tool that also happens to publish websites. As I mentioned earlier, Framer made a nice change this year by including a free custom domain with yearly plans. So when you're ready to upgrade, you don't have to go through that extra step of buying a domain somewhere else. The domain setup is handled through Hover, and it's pretty straightforward too. And if you care about branding and you want your site to feel more official, this makes upgrading a lot simpler. Now, if you've ever opened up a design tool and felt stuck staring at a blank page, this part will feel very familiar in a good way. Framer's AI is designed to help you get from an idea to something usable much faster without taking control away from you. It handles a lot of the setup and structure so you can spend more time refining and less time starting from scratch. So let's break down the AI features that actually make a difference when you're building a site. Everything starts with a prompt. You just have to describe what you want, and Framer's AI uses that description to generate an entire website layout for you. So the more specific that you are, the better the result. So instead of saying something vague like, make me a website, you should mention the industry, the style, and what the site is actually for. For example, using a prompt like this, clean landing page for a fitness coach with bold typography and call to action sections, gives the AI much more to work with. Also, including who the site is for makes a huge difference. If the first version isn't quite right, that's completely normal. You can regenerate the site, you can compare different options, and then pick the one that's closest to what you have in mind. Each version will feel a little different in terms of layout, imagery, and typography, and after choosing the right one, you can just keep refining it. The whole process happens in real time, so you can actually watch the AI build out sections and images and text as it goes. Framer's AI tends to work especially well for things like portfolios, business landing pages, and smaller e-commerce sites. And each of these responds a bit differently to prompts, so it does help to tailor what you ask for. For a portfolio, focus on your work and overall aesthetic. For a business site, describe your product and the type of customer you're targeting. And say for an e-commerce site, mentioning product categories and layout preferences helps the AI generate a structure that helps make sense from the start. So now here's the thing, you're not limited to generating full pages either. Framer's AI can also create individual components like contact forms, image galleries, testimonial sections, and a whole lot more. Again, just describe what you need and what it should do, and the AI generates a styled, responsive component for you. Once it's in place, you can just tweak the properties just like anything else in Framer, so you're never really locked into what the AI gives you. It definitely feels less like an automated tool and more like a design assistant that already understands good layout and structure. This makes it much faster to build more complex pages without having to recreate the same elements over and over again. Framer's AI doesn't stop at just layout and structure. It can also help with the writing itself. You can ask it to generate headlines, body copy, or even suggest improvements to how sections are arranged. And if you give it some guidance on your brand voice, whether that's more formal, friendly, or maybe something in between, it does a solid job matching the tone. The copy works best as a starting point. A few small edits usually go a long way toward making it sound more like you. And that balance between AI suggestions and manual tweaks is what keeps the content feeling polished without losing personality. There are times when you don't want to worry about colors or fonts, yet you just want to get the layout right. So the Wireframer tool is built exactly for that. This will let you block out sections, move things around, and figure out the structure of a page really quickly. Once you're satisfied with the layout, you can turn that wireframe into a full design and keep building from there. This is especially helpful when you're working with clients or teammates because everyone can now focus on how the page is structured without getting distracted by the visual details. All right, so enough talking about features. It's time to build a site together from scratch. And if this is your first time doing this, don't you worry, I got you. We're going to build a full website together, and I'm going to break it down into small steps so it feels easy. So for the first part, this is basically about answering one simple question. What are we actually building here, right? Framer's AI works best when it has a clear direction. So the goal here isn't to be perfect, just to be specific enough that it knows what you're aiming for. Decide what type of site you want to create, and that could be a portfolio, a business landing page, or an online store. And for this walkthrough, I'm going to build a fitness coach landing page. From there, we need to describe a few key things in our prompt, the industry, the overall style, and the main sections the site should include. The industry helps guide imagery, the style influences things like colors and typography, and listing the sections makes sure nothing important gets left out. It will also help to mention who the site is for, and in this case, I'm targeting busy professionals who want personalized training, which gives the AI more context to work with. You don't need to overthink this, but a little detail here does go a long way. So here's the exact prompt I'm going to use. Build a modern fitness coaching landing page, target busy professionals aged 25 to 45 who want personalized training and simple routines. Style should feel clean, energetic, and confident, not aggressive. Use bold typography, strong contrast, and plenty of white space. Include these sections in this order. Hero section with a clear value statement and primary call to action to book a free consultation. About section explaining the coach's approach, credentials, and results. Services section outlining one-on-one coaching, online programs, and nutrition guidance. Transformation or testimonial section with social proof. Simple pricing or how it works section to reduce friction. Call to action section encouraging booking or contact. Contact section with a form and social links. Optimize for mobile first. Use high quality fitness imagery that feels realistic and approachable. Tone should be motivating, friendly, and practical. Design should prioritize clarity, conversion, and trust. And once that prompt's in, all that's left to do is hit generate. So let's see what happens. Now, after hitting generate, you'll see a progress indicator here while the site is being built, and you can just actually watch everything come together in real time. Some generations do take a bit longer than others depending on how detailed the prompt is. So if it's taking a moment, that's absolutely normal. Every now and then a generation might fail or time out, and if that happens, you can just run it again. It's rare, and Framer usually handles retries without any issues. And when the generation is done, Framer will give you a few different layout options to choose from. Don't worry too much about the colors or copy, not at this stage. Let's just focus on the overall structure and flow, and pick the version that feels strongest. And remember that you can always swap sections or mix things together later. So this is where things start to get fun. You can try different layout options, swap sections between versions, and begin lining everything up so it feels consistent. Don't worry about breaking anything. You can always undo and redo, and they're your best friends here, so experiment freely. It'll also help if you just think of the AI-generated site as a starting point and not the finished product. The structure is there for us, the personality comes from how you customize it. If the layout feels right, it's time to make it yours by adding your own content. At this point, the layout is there, but it still probably feels a bit generic, and that's normal. Here you start swapping in your own words, your own images, and your own style, so the site actually feels like something you'd be happy to put your name on. Replace the placeholder text with your own copy, and upload images that reflect your brand. Framer makes swapping images as simple as drag and drop, so it is easy to experiment as you go. You can always adjust colors to match your palette, change fonts to fit your style, and fine-tune spacing until everything feels right. Don't forget to add your own logo and any brand icons you use elsewhere. And small details make a big difference, and there you go. We just turned a generic layout into something that is personal and recognizable for you. Let's keep in mind here that most people are going to see your site on their phone first, not on a laptop. Even though Framer automatically creates mobile versions for you, we still have to take a minute to check how everything looks. So use the mobile preview to flip through different screen sizes and see how the layout holds up. And sometimes images need a bit of resizing or text needs to be repositioned, so it's easier to read on smaller screens. It's also a good idea to check both portrait and landscape views and clean up anything that feels cramped or awkward. Mobile traffic usually beats desktop by a lot, so this makes a big difference than it might seem. After building the structure and adding your content, the details will start to matter a lot more. So spacing, typography, and motion are what guide people through the page and make everything feel intentional. And the good thing is, Framer will give you the tools to fine-tune those details so your site doesn't just look good, but actually communicates clearly. And things start to get a lot more fun here too, because Framer gives you a lot of control over how everything looks without making it feel too complicated. The typography panel lets you explore different fonts and sets a clear hierarchy, so headings, body text, and buttons all feel intentional. The color picker makes it easy to build a palette, and you can even sample colors directly from images using the eyedropper, which helps keep everything consistent. Spacing plays a bigger role than most people expect. Small tweaks there can make a page feel either cluttered or polished. If you're working across multiple pages, setting up a simple design system early on saves you time and keeps the site feeling cohesive instead of random. A little bit of motion can make a site feel way more alive. Framer makes it also easy to add subtle animations like sections fading in as you scroll or elements sliding into place. Simple hover effects on buttons and images also go a long way in making the site feel interactive and responsive. You should definitely experiment here with these, but keeping things subtle usually works best. Too much animation can start to feel distracting or slow things down. Framer will also help you stay on track by flagging performance issues for you, so your site still will be smooth while adding just enough motion to make it feel polished. Reusable components are a huge time saver as well once a site starts to grow. You can build something like a button just once, set up a few variants, primary, secondary, outline, and then just reuse it everywhere. If you need to change the text or colors or icons later, you can do that without breaking consistency across your site. So keeping components organized in a library makes things even easier, especially when you're working on multiple pages or projects. It helps everything stay consistent and saves you from fixing the same thing over and over again. At some point, you're going to notice certain pages just feel easier to work with than others. A lot of that comes down to how the layout is set up. Framer will give you a few different ways to handle layout depending on what you're building. Auto layout helps elements resize and adapt naturally across different screen sizes, which is great for responsive design. Grids are useful when you need more structure and precise alignment, especially on more complex pages. Stacks keep things organized vertically or horizontally and make spacing much easier to manage. You don't need to overthink which one to use here. Just pick whatever makes sense for the page you're working on and adjust as you go. When the layout behaves properly, everything else tends to just fall in place. So now building a site is one thing, but keeping it updated is usually where things fall apart. Adding new content, making changes without breaking layouts, or letting someone else help without everything getting messy can quickly become a frustrating experience. So here, I'm going to show you how to handle that side of things so your site stays easy to manage as it grows and doesn't turn into a maintenance headache. First, let's talk about Framer's built-in CMS. And this one will let you manage things like blog posts, portfolio items, or products from one central place instead of editing everything page by page. You can create collections by defining fields for titles, images, and other metadata, then connect those fields directly to your pages. When you update something in the CMS, it will automatically update everywhere else on the live site, which makes managing dynamic content much easier without touching any code. Once you start using collections, Framer can take care of creating pages for you automatically. You can set up separate collections for things like blog posts, portfolio pieces, or products, and give each one its own layout. That way, every item follows the same structure without you having to design each page from scratch. When you connect a collection to a page template, Framer generates a dynamic page for every entry you add. As your content grows, the site grows with it, without extra setup or maintenance. It's a simple way to scale a site while keeping everything consistent and easy to manage. In terms of editing content in Framer, it feels a lot more direct, and you can click straight into the live preview here, make changes right on the page, and then see everything update immediately across the site. So there's no jumping back and forth between panels or guessing how things will look. Just click, type, and you're done. And this also makes collaboration much easier. People can leave comments and suggestions directly on the page, so feedback always stays tied to the actual content instead of living in a long message thread. Compared to the older workflow, it's much smoother and a faster way to make changes without breaking your own flow. And working with other people in Framer is pretty straightforward as well. You can invite team members to jump in, to leave comments, and share feedback directly on the project. Permission settings let you control who can edit what so things don't accidentally get changed. Framer also keeps a version history, which makes it easy to roll back changes or see how a project has evolved over time. And because everything updates in real time, everyone sees changes as they happen. No more exporting screenshots or sending static mockups back and forth just to get feedback. Now here's the thing, because most projects don't start complicated, but they usually get there. So once you're building bigger sites, adding real functionality, or working on client projects, you'll probably want a bit more control than just the basics give you, right? Don't worry, because Framer has ways to go beyond the core tools when you need them without turning everything into a development project. And there are times when the built-in tools get you most of the way there, but not all the way. And Framer will let you add custom CSS for fine-tuned styling, drop in JavaScript for more advanced behavior, and embed HTML when you need to bring in third-party services. You don't need to use code often, but when you do, keeping it organized makes a big difference. Framer also lets you turn custom code into reusable components, which helps keep projects clean and manageable as they grow. Another good thing is Framer won't try to lock you into its own ecosystem. You can connect the tools you're already using, like Google Analytics for tracking, email notifications for contact forms, or social media embeds. If you're selling something, payment systems like Stripe or PayPal plug in without much setup. You can also hook Framer into marketing tools like MailChimp using APIs or webhooks. And once those places are connected, the site stops being just a collection of pages and starts acting more like a real working system behind the scenes. And we all know that a good-looking site doesn't help much if nobody can find it. Framer will also give you the basics you need to handle SEO without turning it into a separate project. You can set page titles and meta descriptions, control how pages show up when they're shared on social media, and add alt text so images are easier to understand for both search engines and accessibility. Framer also takes care of things like sitemaps and lets you tweak robots.txt if you need to. There's an SEO preview built in as well, which makes it easy to see how your pages might appear in search results and catch issues early. Performance speed makes a bigger difference than most people expect. Thankfully, Framer handles a lot of the performance work for us, but it does still help to be mindful of things like image sizes, file formats, and how much custom code we're adding. And keeping things lightweight goes a long way. Behind the scenes, Framer uses a global content delivery network and supports lazy loading, so pages load quickly no matter where someone is visiting from. And when performance is solid, the site feels better to use and holds up as traffic grows. Alright, and just like that, everything is built and polished. So our last step here is getting it live. Everything that we're setting up is happening safely in the editor, but this is the moment most people actually care about. Getting a site live can feel intimidating the first time, even when everything is ready. But the good thing is, Framer keeps this part pretty straightforward and you're not doing anything irreversible. If you're on a yearly plan, Framer lets you claim a free custom domain, so you don't have to buy one separately. The setup runs through Hover and walks you through the process step by step. You'll connect your domain, set up the DNS records, and then give it a bit of time. Sometimes it takes a few hours for everything to fully propagate. And if you already own a domain, connecting it works the same way. Framer provides us with clear instructions and troubleshooting tips in case something doesn't click right away, which makes the whole process a lot less stressful than it usually sounds. So before you make anything public, make sure to do one last pass in preview mode and click through the site as if you were a visitor. So check links, scroll through each page, and make sure everything looks right on both desktop and mobile. And when you're ready, publishing is as simple as clicking the publish button. Framer shows a quick confirmation and then pushes the site live. So drafts and published versions are handled separately, so you can keep working on changes without affecting the live site. And if ever you need to take the site down or roll something back, you can just unpublish it just as easily. Framer also supports staging environments and scheduled publishing, which is helpful if you're planning a launch or coordinating updates. You can prepare everything ahead of time and then let it go live exactly when you want. And once your site is live, make sure to know what people are actually doing on it. You can connect Google Analytics to track your visitors, traffic sources, and general behavior. Framer also has a built-in analytics dashboard that makes it easy to see things like button clicks, your conversions, and how people move through your pages. If you want to go even deeper, you can set up custom events and goals to track the actions that matter most to you. Just keep privacy in mind when you do this and make sure you're handling things like cookie notices and GDPR requirements properly. And after a site is live, your goal is to keep things running smoothly without constantly babysitting it. Framer automatically backs up your project, so if something goes wrong, you can always roll back to a previous version without much stress. For bigger changes, duplicating the site and testing updates separately is an easy way to avoid breaking anything live. Version history makes it easier to track what's changed over time, and basic uptime monitoring can also help catch issues early instead of hearing about them from users first. So a little maintenance here and there goes a long way in keeping the site stable. Alright, so now you've already seen the capabilities of Framer, and a lot of what makes Framer convincing comes from how people actually use it in the real world. And you'll see stories from users who launch a site and suddenly start getting more attention than they even expected. One Reddit post talked about how a client who ended up with too many leads after switching to a Framer site and then had trouble keeping up with all of the responses. And honestly, it's nothing magic, and most of the time it just comes down to a few simple things. The site looks clean, it's obvious what to click, and it loads fast. That combo works. Framer sites tend to be more custom and intentional, even though nobody hand-coded them, and that's usually what surprises people the most. Seeing stuff like this makes it way easier to trust your own design choices. So that's Framer. It lets you move fast, build sites that actually look professional, and then skip all of the usual friction that comes with web design. You don't need to code, you don't need a big budget, and you don't need to wait weeks to ship something real. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but the payoff is a lot more creative freedom than most builders ever give you. So if you're curious, just open up Framer and mess around, explore. The free plan's enough to get a feel for it. I'll leave the link in the description below. I want to thank you for watching and investing your time with me today. I'll see you at the next one.